good evening and welcome along to a brand new episode and a brand new season of Dundee United action from this YouTube live stream series with FM21. Thank you so much to everybody who's here already. It is greatly appreciated. We have got a big evening ahead of us. We have got a transfer window to reflect on. We have got our first ever Champions League qualifier in this series. And we start the season against the Rangers side we picked to second last year. So if it's going to be difficult, if it's going to be a long season, I think we're going to find out very quickly today. So I hope you're looking forward to this one. I certainly am. It has been a far bigger transfer window than previous years. We've still missed out on most of our targets to elite level clubs. But there are some people that we've got in that I'm very excited about. Maybe not immediately, but for the future of this club, for the future of this series, could be fantastic. Josh, good evening. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you here. Jacob, time to see you get humiliated in the qualifiers. I wouldn't rule it out just yet because you might be able to see a glimpse of who we've got in the top right. It isn't the friendliest draw in the world, and it's sandwiched between two of the harder league games to start, and we didn't even get a friendly draw in the League Cup, so it's not a particularly positive start for us. Tom's already in with a big question, certainly what we wanted. Plenty of big questions about. 5 people from history you'd invite to have a meal out. Only one sports person allowed. Jeez. I'll tell you what, Tom. I'll pull you up on that later. But I've got a problem with that question. However, I will find 5 for you. I don't know about a sports person, actually. Because the obvious is to go like Muhammad Ali or something, isn't it? But I'd like to think of a more unique answer. But something between that and just saying Steve McNulty. I'll come back to that one as we move through the stream. I'll try and think of it. It's a great question. Might even need a few days for that one, but I'll try my best. I'll come back to you on that one. But a big evening to look forward to today. Thank you for everybody coming in. If you haven't yet, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. It does make a massive difference. It helps people find us. I know there is a known problem in YouTube at the minute with the thumbs up not working on everything. They will eventually update, but I was a little bit alarmed the other day when I looked on and saw that it had 200 views and 3 likes, and then I realised that it was a YouTube problem. So not an issue. But thank you so much for everyone coming in. Lovely to have so many of you in the chat already. And thank you for coming and joining me for what should be a big one. John Herries, good evening. Hope you're fitting well. Thank you for coming in as always. Lovely to have another one of the regulars in. I hope you're well as well. I hope you're all having a decent week. Obviously, I'm always much happier on Tuesday because it's my day off. So I've caught up with a lot of the FM stuff. I've recorded and edited my first ever experiment. It's quite a niche one, but it's one we can look forward to as well. So that will be out at some point later this week. Tom, Ali is an interesting one. I was expecting more along the lines of McNulty. See, the most interesting person alive I can think of is Stephen Fry, because that's a go-to answer, isn't it? So that would be a go-to. Josh, since you first ever started playing FM, who's been your favourite club to manage? That's a great question. So I started playing from the first time it changed over to FM. Myself and Tom in the chat, our parents conspired together and bought us the game because they thought we might like it, and they regretted it within a year. But yeah, I would say that my favourite saves were always the San Marino challenge before. In terms of on the channel, I really love the Torquay save. But I do prefer the niche nations generally, or the niche clubs. So I'd probably say the San Marino challenge was my favourite, because it's the one save, even though it was FM15 now, I could tell you nearly everything about it. So I'd probably say that. What about yourselves though? What's your favourite ever save on FM? Jacob, can't wait to see you lose to Haverfordwest in a road to glory. You're being cheeky this evening, Jacob. But again, I can't rule them out. A few bad results might not go amiss. But thank you everyone for coming in. Lovely to have so many of you here already. Only a couple of minutes in and almost in double figures already. Tom, going back to yours, I'd probably say, I'm looking at people off the top of my head. Stephen Fry, John Lennon, Muhammad Ali. I'll come back to you on the last 2. But they're off the top of my head. Thank you to everybody who's here. Let's just go and get started with the action, shall we? The big news, of course, is Champions League qualifiers. And after a difficult start to the season at home to Rangers, which, if we want to keep qualifying for the Champions League, we've probably got to win, we face PSV away in the Champions League. But that's not challenging enough, is it? It's also an Olympic year. And as a result, we've lost Nico Serrano, the one player we didn't want to lose. has gone for Spain's under-23s. It shows both how good he is, but also how badly we're going to struggle. So we've got to hope PSV are missing half their team, but I highly doubt that. So I'm sure with them being a proper side... Oh no, they're missing 2, and they're missing a star player, actually. Daniel Malen is on 31 grand a week, but he's worth 50 million. He's their star striker. So actually, we might be the beneficiaries out of that. We'll see that later on as we go along. Tom, Lennon is a good shout. Not sure why you're going for Stephen Fry. It's the perfect dinner party guest, isn't he? He's the perfect person. He can tell you any story. He's got any knowledge. You've got to go Stephen Fry. And I thought I better have one in there that's alive. Jacob, you'll beat TNS 3-0 and lose to Haverfordwest. Yeah, more likely we'll beat Shakhtar Donetsk and then lose to Kefin Druids or Haverfordwest or someone like that. But there you go. What can you do? It's part of the fun of that series, isn't it? We're having it realistic. We're not having just a succession of quality players coming on 20 grand a week. It's both sustainable and leads to some fun results. John, Mickey Mellon linked with Doncaster. Do you think he'll go? I can't see why he would, because if he was going to stick with English football, he would have stayed at Tranmere for me. So I would recommend that he stays at Dundee United, but then they just missed out on the top 6 split, so then he's not going to get Europe there. Does he think about going? I don't know. I mean, Doncaster have fallen from grace. We sort of predicted it on the podcast when he left, when Darren Moore went to Sheffield Wednesday. Doesn't seem to have worked out too well for them. They've got a massive game tonight as well. But I don't think he'll go. But you never know. Money talks, doesn't it? Josh, I'm quite new to playing the game. It's so addictive. I'm managing Celtic at the minute. We were like that when we were new as well. I would always say, that's what I'd normally recommend, is go to more niche nations and start as their biggest team so you get a feel for the league, and then gradually drop down and play with sort of the niche teams in those leagues. But I'm always the sort of person who's preferred to play as the underdogs, the lower league clubs or whatever. But do whatever you enjoy. That's the main thing. Tom, football questioners, I've thrown you in with a deeper one. Mari and Gabriel have looked good, but we'll never see them together because they're both lefties. Why don't we ever see that? It's a great question. I've wondered this for many, many, many years. Every time 2 left-footed centre-halves turn up in commentary, it's talked about as the world's worst thing. I remember you guys had it before, didn't you? Is it Silvestre and... who was the other one? Who was Silvestre alongside back then? I'm sure you'd tell me in the comments. But either way, you had Silvestre and somebody else. You had 2 left-footed centre-halves. And it became this massive, massive deal. And I didn't really get it. I mean, Luton had it a few times when we were in administration. But you see 2 right-footed centre-halves all the time. So I don't really get the problem. But yeah, it is seemingly judged as being very weird and unique for some reason. I guess just because it's unlikely to happen often. But still, it doesn't seem a reason for it not to. If your best 2 centre-halves are left-footed, get them in the team. Vermaelen, Tom. Spot on. There you go. Jacob, I reckon Blackpool will win the League One playoffs. I don't know. It's hard to predict who's even going to be in them at the minute, isn't it? I still think Sunderland will go up. I think Peterborough will end up in the playoffs. I know that looks unlikely now, but 2 weeks ago, what's happening now would have looked unlikely. I wouldn't bank against Ipswich or Pompey just because the new managers of quality, and Charlton for that matter as well. 3 good new managers, high quality managers, big game managers, and at big clubs. It's amazing what that bounce can do if you get in that situation. Thank you so much to everyone coming in as well. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make a massive difference. It helps people find us. We're very close to affiliate on Twitch as well, despite only having done 3 streams. We're nearly at 50 followers, so if you're able to and you haven't yet, please do go and follow along there as well. It does make a massive difference. And I'll keep it quiet for now and I won't give you too much detail, but as I hinted on social media the other day, the food channel's not far away. I've been promising it for a long time, and it's something that combines both of my hobbies in the same platform. To be able to do food and football is absolutely brilliant. But let's go and get into the transfers with Dundee United. Most of us are in now. So before we get into the big couple of games to start the year, let's talk about what's been going on in the window. So in terms of current active transfers, not a lot. We tried to get our work done early. Let me very quickly switch back to the end of last year so you can see those bit first. And talking of Bangor City and the Builder Nation, Jacob, we have got somebody there from that series. And you might not be able to see them because they're behind my head and behind my little webcam corner. But You can see Celtic, you can see 1.1 million. I'm sure you can put the rest together. Jacob, how do you think Wycombe will do in League One next year after you practically relegated them last game? Yeah, we did. It was a last-minute comeback as well, last 10 minutes. Couple of great goals in there. Without the red card, they would have won that game. They're not far off staying up, and with the budget, it's brilliant. My worry is, Jacob, I still think that Gareth Ainsworth will be the next Preston manager. And if they lose Ainsworth, they'll be in big, big trouble. Like, genuinely massive trouble. But if they keep him, he stays, they'll be up there again. They'll be competing for promotion. Tom, my theory, plenty of right-footed players have probably grown up playing both sides and understand the angles. Yeah, JT was, but John Terry was as good on his left foot as his right. His long-range passing left-footed was unbelievable. Yeah, it's a fair theory, and it's the same in midfield normally as well. Obviously, that's starting to change with wingers and centre-forwards with the in-to-out finishes, or the out-to-in finishes, sorry. And Jacob, yes, you are spot on. The first in is, well, he's not the first in, but he's the first permanent in. Luca Canel from Celtic. Finlay Robertson went back to Rangers. We had no chance of getting him in again. So Luca Canel, he was available, similar ability, quality player, a little bit better than he is in a banger save. And obviously he was on loan at Hibs last year. Got a good half a season there, did well at this level. We know he's got the quality. He's played in the Championship in England, he's played in the Scottish Premiership. And he was in that Air team the same season that Darren Watson was there. And those two kept them up comfortably. So a really good addition. We're delighted to have him here. And he'll be our fourth choice centre midfielder. Playing a few of those sort of lower ranked league games. Or maybe in the Europa League or Europa Conference if we end up in them. The next addition though is on loan our Tyrick Mitchell replacement. And that man is Francisco Ramos from Juventus on loan. Someone we've been linked with and looked to sign in the past but got pipped to by Juventus. And now we're bringing him in on loan. It's a 3.5-star left back, an under-21 international for Spain. I'm surprised he's not in the Olympic squad as well, to be honest. But 10 grand a week wage contribution, a very good defender. My only worry is positioning's poor and can't pass. And we said it in a tactical special. We said it in the match analysis special before as to why I rank positioning as the most important defensive attribute. And I worry about it here. I won't lie to you. So fingers crossed that won't come back to bite us. But other than that, brilliant young left back. Going out of the club early on in the window, Jack Byrne was already pre-agreed. Ryan Payton was already pre-agreed. And Jack Newman, the young keeper, has gone to St Mirren. Once I realised he wasn't homegrown at the club, we weren't worried about him at all. On to this season though. That's where the big money comes in. We've lost out on so many big signings, but we have got a few in. And there's a couple of players leaving the club as well. And there probably will be one or two more yet. But thank you to everyone getting involved, everyone in the chat as always. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't yet. We're going for our transfer window, then we'll be straight into the big games because there's an awful lot for us to look forward to. So let's quickly get through the two outs. Glenn Ray, he got down to 1.5-star ability. We had to let him go at that point. So Luca Canel's basically a massive upgrade for him. He goes out, MK Dons, just under 100 grand, but a really good servant. Played 76 league appearances for us. And he's a Luton legend as well. So top bloke Glenn Ray, he's on his bike. Tyler Wolfe goes out on loan to Hull, who pay most of his wages and a loan fee. He came in last January, did what he needed to. Got one crucial goal in a cup game, if I remember. And did quite well in the league in a couple of appearances he made. So he's going off to Hull. And if he does well, he might come back and be a first teamer here. But I'm not sure he's going to be progressing. Particularly when you compare it to the players that have come in for him. Both familiar and unfamiliar. We're into double figures now as well, so thank you for everyone coming along. It does make a big difference. I'm a little bit annoyed that BBC Scotland have moved their Scottish game earlier today. So just over there in the corner, I've got Dunfermline v Dundee ready to go. So apologies to any Dundee United fans in. And we'll keep updates from that one as well. Just because we love the football, we know that too. 84 grand. Jacob, for the standard he was at after the injuries and the age he's got to, it's a pretty impressive fee, trust me. But we're not here to recoup money this year. We're here to spend the transfer money from the last 2 or 3 years. And we've done that to an extent. So we already knew about the first two. Dijon Sterling comes in from Chelsea on a free agent deal at the end of his contract. Just over 10 grand a week. And the main reason he's come in, he's a first backup in almost every position. He can play up front if needed. He's a natural right winger, a natural right back. Can play wing back if we need to do that in Europe. And can play naturally at centre half as well. He can even cover at left back if needed. He's a really versatile player. Got brilliant speed and acceleration, and also pretty good technically and mentally too. So really solid, got all the player traits we like, a good trainer, and has got loads of experience. Played for Middlesbrough, played for Swansea, both at championship level, and has even played the odd game for Chelsea. So we couldn't ask for much more really. Sterling will be a good addition to our squad and very solid in a number of positions. Nico Serrano, on the other hand, we know absolutely everything about already. Dylan, good evening. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you here as always. Thank you all for the thumbs up. Please do chuck one if you haven't already. Jake, watching whilst walking the dog. What a peaceful evening, eh? Lovely to have you all along. Nice to see all the regulars in. Thank you all of those that have come over on Twitch and the couple that have moved the other way as well. It's lovely to see you all in both. Both of them going really well, and I couldn't be happier with them. So thank you for your incredible support. Dylan, back to Sunday League on at the weekends. Got a goal and an assist in a 7-0 win. Can't ask for more, can you? We're a few of our old boys from the... Because most of the team I played with were older than me before. We're all going back for a five-a-side on Thursday night for the first time in many a year. So I got injured in 2016 and haven't played competitively since. We're going back for a five-a-side, and I kid you not, the standard of that's going to be appalling. I mean, Charlie and Craig from the podcast will be involved, and they've had far more surgeries than me. But there you go. Jacob, 7 passing as a winger, good signing. Don't worry about that. He is going to be incredible for us. And he'll probably play more as a right back, to be honest. But off the bench as a winger, but when he starts, it will largely be fullback. And maybe even centre-half, to be fair, in some of the league games. He's got a very similar attribute profile to Ted and Mengi, so it might work out. But just great to have a player who can play so many positions so well. Let's have a look at Serrano. We all know how good he is. Once he is eventually back from the Olympics, he's going to be a superstar. 100 appearances for Bilbao, we've got him here. And he virtually got a second. Our season changed last year when he joined. We were faultless. And he was a large part of that. So well done to him. Rhys Devine is next up. He's our new backup left back because we lost Morgan Boys as well. 2.5-star ability, free agent deal, less than £3,000 a week. Solid signing. Really good going forward as well. Great crosser of the ball, very good physically. Good in a tackle, good passer. And again, got decent mental attributes too. Then come the ones that we've splashed the cash on. We've lost out on lots of them. But we've managed to get 2 in. And they're 2 good young players who are going to be superstars. Jake, playing wise, you've been back 2 weeks, 2 victories. Probably changed Sunday as the whole of the team's likely to be out Saturday. That's the thing. Once the drinking comes into it, it does change it for a few teams, doesn't it? Jacob, you'll never forget the time you saw a striker with 1 finishing and 1 composure. There's always a few about. What was it last year's? Was it last year in the banger save? I think it was last year's youth intake where we had the striker with 3 finishing and 4 composure. And he was brilliant aside from that. We had to train him as a winger then. So these things do happen, don't they? Thank you to everyone coming in. You're still coming in your numbers. And thank you for the thumbs up as well. It is greatly appreciated as we go into the 2 big signings. So Scott Mitchell, you may remember the name if you've been following the series, is someone we've talked about quite a lot. £4 million from Celtic with an appearance clause as well. It's a 3-star ability striker, 4-star potential. Now 2 key things on him. He's Scottish and he's 18. Which means he'll become homegrown at the club. He's definitely going to be a full-time international. And he's actually a slightly quicker, slightly better version of Shankland. So if we can get him to form, he was scoring about 1 in 3 for Celtic. If we can get him to form and get him just up a little bit to potential, could be a superstar. But you can see the attribute profile is so similar. It's just that natural fitness. That's the only worry. He's got everything else. I think he's going to be a star. Good penalty taker too. You can't undervalue that. And he's still got a little bit of potential to grow into. So it says he could improve a lot in the future. And we'd like him to absolutely do that. The final one, though, is probably the best. We saved that till last. Josh, have you ever won a quadruple in FM? I think so. I mean, those who have been following the Banger series, we might have done it once. I can't remember if we've had a year where we won everything domestically. England quadruple, I don't think so. I think the most we ever did with Torquay was a treble. Dorking, we never even won the league. Who else have we been at? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe Barcelona, but I think we lost the Super Cup even at the end of last year's head coach. Before that, we were at Chelsea. We won the league and the Europa League. We didn't win anything else. So I don't know if we've done it on camera. We will have done it at some point in the past, but on camera, I'm not sure. There's probably other people who will know better than me. Jake did it with Orlando Pirates. Doesn't count if it's not Europe. It's a lot easier. But in truth, it is still a great achievement, even there, because the Champions League ones are always hard, no matter what continent you're in. So I would say it still counts. I would take it, definitely. I would be claiming it if I did it. Let's put it that way. Thank you to everybody who's in, as always. The final sign-in is another one of those youngsters. Like Damir Ziga, we've got a second one from the scout reports. Nenad Jazimovic from Partizan Belgrade, a young Serbian for 4.8 million. He is a 4-star ability centre-half. Well, he's technically 3.5 there, but 4-star ability, 5-star potential on just $7,000 a week. The only carrot, don't get too excited, is he wouldn't sign without that £8 million minimum fee release. And he's already worth 5.25. So one good half a season and we could lose him again. But he's officially a wonder kid. Bit aggressive, I worry about the red cards, but everything else is brilliant. Great personality, loads of appearances for Partizan. Wonderful in the tackle, good positionally. Good physically, good mentally. Just the headers he's not great at, but he's still 6 foot and got a good jump. So we're happy enough with him. I'll take you through to the scouting reports, just so I can show you some of the ones we've missed out on. Because that's obviously as exciting as well. And there's a long, long list there. Tom, City quadruple this season? No. They won't win the Champions League, Tom. If City lose in the Carabao Cup and win everything else, don't write it off. Jose for the big game. It's to save his job now as well. So don't rule it out. But I don't think City will win the Champions League. Right, let's go and have a look at the ones we've missed out on. So, we went in for Yacine Claude again, who we missed out on a free agent last year. He's not leaving Marseille. Ryan Gould didn't want to come. The other ones we narrowly missed out on, Benjamin Frijan. He's gone to PSG from Dinamo Zagreb. You can understand why he chose them over us. Dixon and Finlay Robertson both staying at Rangers, despite the fact that they're only in the Europa League this year. It hasn't grown our reputation really at all. We did have a look at Patrick Gunnarsson, who obviously was a superstar for us at Hibs in the head coach when he came back and got his work permit. But unfortunately, he's on 42 grand a week at Bournemouth here, so we weren't able to get him. We did have a look at loaning Thiago Carpintero, who we missed out on in January. Would have been our second option of Serrano, but for someone who wouldn't have been a guaranteed starter, paying 20 grand a week and 150 grand a month in fees as well, it wasn't foreseeable. It wasn't doable, really. Kane Richie Hosler, we tried to sign from Rangers. He went to Villa for 85 grand a week instead. And Rio Griffiths was a centre forward. We tried to sign him from Brest in the second tier in France. He rejected us for West Brom on 43 grand a week. Who else did we get close to? Oh, Mikhail Ortega, young centre-half at Montpellier. He chose to go to Bournemouth for 10 grand a week. And I think they're all the big ones. There might have been one other as well. Leon King's another one we tried to sign from Rangers. There's the other one, Arp, the centre-forward. German was available on a free agent, rejected us for Marseille. So there you go. They're all the players we missed out on and all the players we've signed so far. Jake, who wins the Champions League? Probably the winner of last year's final, who are currently playing in the quarters. For me, it's Bayern or PSG, whoever wins that tie. I mean, if we have a look at the other ones, Chelsea I actually think are probably the favourites of the English sides. The way they're set up under Tuchel suits the Champions League more than the Premier League. So, I think if an English side's going to win it, it will be Chelsea. I'm not actually convinced City will get past Dortmund, given the tie so far. But yeah, PSG or Bayern. The winner of that is the favourite for me. And then, I think of the other quarterfinals, it will be Chelsea, Real Madrid and Dortmund that get through. And if City get through, they'll lose to Real Madrid, because Zidane is a masterclass in the Champions League. Jacob, Tottenham Champions League finalists are fighting for a spot in Europa Conference in 2 years. Well, you could argue the same about Arsenal, in fairness, couldn't you? From Europa League final under Emery. Sacked team, yes, they won the FA Cup, but then they're a mid-table side. So, There's a lot of teams struggling. The pandemic year's been bizarre. With fans in the stadium, with respect, West Ham wouldn't be fourth this year. Leicester are going to drop out again of the Champions League places. Be interesting to see how it finishes, actually. But thank you to everyone coming in. Please chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. Lovely to have so many of you here for the transfer special. We've got Dunfermline v Dundee ready in the background. And we have got our first game of the season at home to Rangers, the side who we pipped to Champions League football last year. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get away with the first team in both of these games, and then maybe rest people against Aberdeen. If we have a look at the match load, we'll take that into consideration. But initially, let's look at the squad we've gone for. Chris Mockery has got a knock. We're not going to start him. Sterling's got a heavy match load, and with Serrano out, we've probably got to look after him. Although it is the exact occasion we bought him for. I'm struggling to get rid of Dembele, which is a problem. But don't forget we've got a couple of the other youngsters back. The likes of Fotheringham, the likes of Adriel. We've still got Mikey Johnston at the club, who will start this game. But you can see from the backups where our weaknesses are. So, Watson will start on the right. We'll have Sterling on the bench for his debut. Shankland or Mitchell up top. Which one do we start with? I think we start with the first teamers from last year, and then we gradually bring the other ones in. So in centre midfield, they're suggesting McCrory alongside Canel. That doesn't make much sense to me. So what do we actually want to do? We want Stevie Mallon in there. So Mallon and McCrory for us. McCrory's unhappy because we didn't play him as a ball-winning midfielder. I mean, make of that what you will. Seriously. Holsgrove there. McCann's on the bench. Canel's on the bench. Nasimovic will play alongside Mengi. He's got no side preference, so he can play him the left side. Mengi, he doesn't mind either, but he's going to stay on the right. Brooking and Ramos definitely the fullback. Ziga still good in goal. And in the bench will be Kerr and Dehaney because he's more versatile. Kerr's above Finley as third choice. Finley will be the fourth choice centre-half. Hayden, good evening. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you along. Tom, what have Arsenal got to do with Tottenham? Well, it's a very similar situation. I don't criticise Arsenal. I think Arteta's the right man. I'm actually probably more on board with him than most Arsenal fans are. But you can't deny the similarities of the situation. Tottenham have gone from a Champions League final to fighting for the Europa Conference. Arsenal have gone for a Europa League final to fighting for mid-table. But I agree. Tottenham haven't won a trophy. Arsenal have. I think Arsenal might win the Europa League if they can get past the Slavia Prague tie. But who knows? But it's league situation. It's definitely similar. Jacob, I feel for Harry Kane trying to be loyal when he gets rewarded with a 3-0 loss in Croatia. I mean, that was the game, really. Because Mourinho would have fancied winning that. He would have thought they'd do it. Dylan, the things you do for a win against Sunderland tonight. Don't rule it out. Sunderland have only got 1 point in their last 2 games. They're starting to drop now. So don't rule it out. Thank you so much to everyone coming in. This is a record high for a long time in terms of viewers. Please do chuck a thumbs up on if you haven't already. Come and get involved on the chat. And do follow over on Twitch for streams over there as well if you haven't already. But thank you for everyone getting involved. Thank you for making the chat so active. For us, with our team selected, with our slightly weakened 11 in the wide areas, let's go and get into our first game of the season. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a really telling one. We beat Rangers to second place with brilliant form towards the end of last season. Now, how are we going to react when the ball's in our court? With players out, we're still expected to get there. Will we do it, though? That's the question. We'll go and have a very quick look to see how Rangers' transfer window went, too. Let's see if they've got on the bench. Not much change from what I can see or what I can remember. Let's tell the boys to go out and impress us. Let's just go and have a quick look at Rangers, shall we? So, transfer window-wise, let's see what they've got. Transfers, nothing going on at the minute. They've spent $4 million on Timothy Weir from Brighton. Okay, he's a good player. They've sold Kane Ritchie-Hosler for big money. They've sold another player, a centre-forward, who was their first choice, or their second choice with Tony Weston. Apart from that, it's just a couple of youngsters in, though. So, not been the best window or the most efficient one for Rangers. And potentially we can get on the front foot and try and get a lead in this game. If we can win this one, be a real confidence boost for the season. Let's get Watson as a normal winger on support. And I do worry about the wide areas. Can we create? As Catroni misses a first-minute penalty against Dunfermline, Celtic will still be the favourites again, I think. but a real opportunity for us. And so far, it's been a bit of a nothing game. Thank you so much to everybody coming in. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. We're just a couple away from double figures now on that front. So thank you all for your incredible support. Kamashin, greetings from Croatia. Dinamo Zagreb fan. We were just talking about Tottenham's loss there. I did miss out on a big signing from Dinamo Zagreb in this series. Their star midfielder went to PSG instead. But we have still got a Croatian keeper. As the ball comes into the box early on, we've missed chances in this first half, but we have been the better side, so that's a positive. But yes, we've got a Croatian goalkeeper. We missed out on a star from Dinamo Zagreb. Jacob saying thanks for beating Tottenham. I'm sure Tom will join you in that one. Colchester v Southend next week will decide League 2 relegation, yeah. We did a podcast on the Phil Brown return. I mean, the way the Mosley thing was dealt with was awful. But Phil Brown's coming. It was an uninspiring draw. But they've still got to play Colchester and Barrow. If they win those games, they'll be out of it. I really think Colchester will go down. It looks like they might be on the verge of administration as well. So I'm not sure how that will pan out. But yeah, I'm not sure the Phil Brown return will save them. I did predict that Grimsby might finish ahead of them. And then Stephen Payne went and headbutted one of his own players and got himself sent off for Grimsby. So I can't defend that one. But a bizarre weekend in League 2. League 2's like the Championship this year. Only 2 or 3 teams in mid-table with nothing to play for. Everyone else is in either the playoff chase or the relegation battle. As Stevie Mallan picks it up. Through ball to Shankland. He's got to score. That is a wonderful challenge. Last-ditch stuff from the defender. And we've got a corner kick. Oh no, a free kick. Sorry, we're back a couple of minutes later. And it's Stevie Mallan to take it. 25 yards out. He loves a good free kick. But that one's just tipped away. Diaz clears it out for a throw. But to be honest, we've been the better side in this game. And what we're going to do with a quarter of the game to go is go and make a couple of changes. So Mitchell will get a debut replacing Shankland up front. Sterling will get a debut on the right wing. He will replace Darren Watson. So actually, we've arguably strengthened our team with those 2 subs. O'Reilly's not had the best game, but he started the season well last year. So I think I'm going to go Ali McCann for Ross McCrory, who's on a booking, and just try and make sure we don't have 10 at any point. But we've been positive. We've been by far the better side. And Celtic are losing at home to Dunfermline. What sort of start is that for them? If we could nick a winner in this one, that would be a massive statement of intent. 10 minutes to go, we've got to throw it right back. Let's most importantly make sure we don't throw it away. As Sterling picks it up just inside his own half. Surging through bodies, and this is what we want with him. To drive with the ball, to surge down the line, gets into the box, and he loses out in a challenge. Long ball forward, and now Sterling's miles out of position. Not backing up the fullback, Colley goes alone, back to Tony Weston, into Colley again. Great sliding challenge, but Aribo gets it across, and it's in off Jazimovic. He hits it against Ramos. I don't think they've had a shot on target yet. They haven't. No shots on target, and they lead 1-0. Is that going to be a story of the season? Ryan Jack puts the corner in. Mengi heads away. O'Reilly gets there. Can we counter? We deserve at least a point out of this, considering Rangers haven't had a shot on goal. As Riley gets into the box, can he find a delivery? Back to Ali McCann, into the corner. What on earth has that been disallowed for? Who's offside? Mitchell? He wasn't in the keeper's line, was he? And just like that, Rangers are 1-0 up. Celtic level the score. Oh, the frustrations, eh? Back to normal service here. How are we losing this game? Mitchell's got 25 yards out. He's got the ball to Sterling, to Stevie Mallan. Switches right to Brooking. Can we find that equaliser? Into O'Reilly, who heads over. That was the best chance we were going to get, I think. Oh, that's difficult. I'm not sure how we've lost that. No shots on target against. The own goal decides it. And we've dominated without scoring. Worrying signs. Jacob, Grimsby keep drawing games, which isn't enough, yeah. And if you headbutt your own player and get a red card avoidably, probably not going to survive. Kamashin, do you think Livakovic can defend at a big European club? Livakovic is great. I honestly believe that. The problem really is... I mean, I'm a bit annoyed by him on a personal level because obviously he's stopping Simon Sluga, the Luton player, from getting into the team. But he's a wonderful keeper. I think he will move in the summer, to be brutally honest. I could see him end him up in like France, Spain, Germany, Italy. I don't think he'll come to the Premier League yet. But that could be Simon Sluga's job. Who knows? Thank you to everyone coming in. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Please do if you haven't already. A very disappointing result on the opening day. A wonderful performance. But this wasn't the main event, was it? If we can get to the Champions League group stages, we can be forgiven for anything in the league. But PSV are in the third qualifying round. It's not even like that's the route into the Champions League group stages. That's only the third qualifier. And we're going away to a big Dutch side. So it's going to be a brilliant event. We'll definitely, looking at the time, get the first leg in this evening. Any action in Dunfermline's game yet? No, still 0-0 after 5 minutes. We want to keep an eye on that because Dunfermline, the last 2 games they've been on TV, they have not defended set pieces well. They lost 3-2 at Dundee, 5-1 against Rafe. But brilliant games to watch. So, let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be a big game at PSV. I think if I remember rightly, it was the away leg first, wasn't it? We do feel robbed. I absolutely do. The media aren't wrong there. But Celtic were held. Rangers didn't look convincing. So over a season, I'd fancy us to potentially do well. Jasimovic played okay, apart from assisting the own goal. And Ramos played well, apart from conceding it. We've got an interesting scout suggestion there to sign Jordan Rutherford from Man United, who's got 5-star potential. It doesn't suit our tactic really, and I don't think we can take a gamble on those sorts of players just yet. I think we need to spend the budget on first teamers. But hopefully we'll bounce back now. We head to a PSV side who are missing a couple of players themselves on international duty. Now it doesn't say that Serrano's unavailable. So does that mean that Spain have gone out? Because if they have, that'll really help us. We should have Chris Mockery back to fitness as well, fingers crossed. And we'll actually be able to be a little bit more competitive. And possibly have that door that unlocks the defence. Because that's what Serrano is. That's what Mockery is. Jacob, headbutt your own player would have been a nice conversation in the dressing room. Well, the other player who had provoked the situation in the team was a former Bradford player, which led to a conversation in itself. But he got subbed at half-time as well, which tells you exactly what Paul Hurst thinks. So, but you can't blame him. As a manager, you would be absolutely furious. You imagine scrapping for your life, putting a team out, and then one player gets sent off headbutting another, and another one... Oh, I wouldn't even be able to keep my composure. I'm sure he didn't either. Right, players available for the reserves will be as few as possible, because whoever doesn't play against PSV will probably need to play against Aberdeen. So we'll try and keep them all fit for that one. Internationals. So Serrano played, Spain lost, but is he going to be fit? He's back, but it says he's tired. Hopefully in 4 days, or 3 days is it? It'll be alright. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Wednesday, which might help. We've got an offer for Gebby, who's a decent young player. Not got the biggest potential though, and we signed him for about 60 grand. So if we can get a big sell-on clause, let's see if we can get a 50% normal next sale. Let's try and get 100 grand up front. Let's try and get, let's say, I mean, I'm not that worried about the after appearances. We'll say 10 grand there. We'll say a grand per appearance. We'll do 10 for the internationals as well. But it's all about the sell-on. They've agreed to the sell-on, but not the price. So let's go for 100 grand and ignore the rest. They're happy. Right, that'll be a decent little profit for a player that wasn't going to make it. We did think about a couple of loan players, particularly in centre midfield. Patino, you can see here, was one of them. There was actually a better one called Davis at Swansea, I think, or maybe Spurs. But we're not going to get either in the end. We've got to keep the squad trim for if we need a big signing somewhere. Thank you to everybody coming in as well. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. Thank you for so many of you being here. It's the most we've had in a YouTube stream for a long time. And thank you to everyone that's checked out the 3 Twitch streams already as well. They've had really big numbers and we're nearly at affiliate level already, which is a massive, massive bonus. So thank you for your incredible support. Mockery's in light training. He should be back for midweek. Missed the Rangers game with food poisoning. So we might be back to full strength, which would be a big difference, particularly going forward, where you saw we lacked that cutting edge. Well, that's it, Jacob, isn't it? You're desperate for points and see one of your own players headbutting a teammate. The calmest manager would be ranging. I'd like to know what the other 9 players were thinking. I'd really like to know that. I can't imagine that any of those conversations will have been pleasant. It's the ultimate way to let people down, wasn't it? There was the old famous fight on the pitch once, wasn't there? Was it Dyer and Bowyer for Newcastle? Right. We've got the playoff draw for the Champions League. And this is interesting because we're seeded because we're playing PSV. So actually we could end up, if we get past PSV somehow, having an easier draw in the next one. Because if we could get the winner of Lugano and Ghent rather than the Salzburg-Monaco one, I'd argue we'd be favourites in that tie. And the PSV one is simply the means to an end. So let's see who we get. We want them, Maritimo or Dinamo Kiev, to face Salzburg or CSKA. They don't. They face Lugano or Ghent. So we're going to get the harder tie again if we get through. But I'm sure we might not have to worry about that. If we don't beat PSV, of course, we've got to worry about the Europa League playoff rounds. And then we could be in Europa Conference after all of this. So we don't want to get too excited just yet. But an away leg in Holland could be a massive one for us. We've got a big offer from Leeds for O'Reilly. It's not too big, I wouldn't say. We had 15 million last January. And Leeds are in the Championship. So, no, we've not got to worry about that. They've not even got a bigger star reputation than us. They've just got more money. And obviously, they're traditionally a huge club. But if they're back at the bottom end of the Championship, it's not to worry. So, in terms of our squad for the Champions League qualifiers, we've got a problem where we've got no over-21s homegrown at the club. So we can't include a couple of the players, which means we're down to a 21-man squad. But we have got a few under-21s naturally anyway. So Adriel's not happy. I mean, I don't really understand what to do. We've got to meet the registration rules. I'm not interested in the complaints. I mean, I've been trying to loan him out, to be honest, and he's not wanted to go. So let's hope that will change that. So he's very interested in speaking to other clubs now. So let's see if we can get him out. Because a year of football will actually benefit him. He's not going to get it there at Birmingham, but it gets him out of the way and it gets an unhappy player clear. If he does play a few games and he's training with good facilities and that, he'll do all right. So through we go. It's the moment of truth. It's the one we're the most tense for. And hopefully we'll be all right. Jacob, I imagine the 9 players were fuming more at the player that headbutted. Behaviour that can't be defended, especially if it's one of your colleagues. Exactly. For the player who's G'd him up, for the person who's headbutted, I mean, 2 acts of complete clownery, really, aren't they? You just can't defend it. It's almost could go one or two ways. It could almost be silence in there. Because what can you say? You go in there, you probably can't even find the words. Gebby is going. It's only a little transfer fee, but that sell-on will help us out. I can assure you of that. I've just seen if we had any others on the go, but we don't at the moment. Any more big scout reports popping up where players might be available for a smaller fee? I don't think so. Let's go all the way up to the top here. See, all the ones up there are big value and big wage. We're just looking to find those 1 or 2 bits of gold dust. And at the moment, there's not any more about. I was still looking at Finlay Robertson. But at the moment, Rangers don't want to sell him. I mean, they've got the Europa League playoff round. If they go out of that into the conference, we might get a chance. But I don't think that's going to happen, I'm afraid. Thank you so much to everybody who's here as well. It's lovely to have so many of you along. Thank you all for coming and spending your Tuesday evening with me. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. We're just 1 away from double figures. And a massive thank you for your incredible support as always. Loads of content to come from the 2 long-term stories this week. A first ever experiment on the channel as well. And then we've also got our Euro 2020 sticker collection opening because we went on the Discord. We all established that we all love it and nobody wanted to admit it. So I'll take the hit and we'll do that as well. Jacob, if their contracts are expiring in June, they certainly won't be getting a new deal. Yeah, absolutely. They won't be getting another Football League club after that, will they? Josh, who's the hardest club you've ever managed? Do you know what I'd say? I know this seems a weird one. I'm going to say Hemel Hempstead at the start of FM19's head coach. Because the expectations were so unrealistic. We came in as a manager to a non-league level with no sort of reputation or anything. And we had this really old senior pro team. It's against the style of play I like to play anyway. But the fact that all of the defenders had like 2 or 3 pace. They're all old Watford and players from that region. And they turned on us and we got sacked within 3 months. So I have to say that. We then followed it up with Dungannon, which was almost as hard in Northern Ireland. But yeah, just that first year and a half of the head coach in FM19 and those two clubs were my hardest ever spell in Football Manager, I would say. We're trying to nick scouts from some other clubs, so Josh Marsh is by far the best there. Everyone else we've tried to go for have then rejected us to stay at their current club. So we'll offer 1.3 grand a week. We'll up it to 5 years. 1.5 grand, that'll do the trick. 200 grand compensation this time, but that doesn't matter. Look, TNS again. Third qualifiers of the Champions League, which means they're guaranteed group stage football in something. And we'll obviously see how they get on in our Welsh experiment as well. Opposition instructions will get on. Look at that team. Mark Albrighton, he must be old now. 34. He's still got good attributes physically. But Mandragora's an Italian international. Tom Davis, the Everton man, will be in his peak. Jasper Sillerson's a good keeper. Some cracking players in there, honestly. Let's go and make the changes we need to. We have got Serrano back. He'll play off the right. We've got Mockery off the left. We'll make sure we get Mikey Johnston perhaps on the bench. He will replace Dehaney. Because then Sterling can almost be our sub-fullback instead. In terms of the rest of the squad, I'm going to go for Mitchell ahead of Shankland. I think he's the better player, albeit the star rating doesn't reflect it. He's got that pace in behind, and he's the one I'm going to trust. Otherwise, I think that's our strongest team. It's our strongest squad. And going away in Europe, this could be our toughest ever test. So we've got to try and get the result. We've got to try and get on top, ready for the second leg, which will feature in Saturday's live stream. So let's go and get into it. Psv Eindhoven versus Dundee United. I've just got awful visions of this going horrifically wrong. Cross your fingers, everybody. Hopefully it'll be our lucky day. So, all of the stars are in that PSV team. It could be one hell of a way to end. If we get battered in this game, I'll leave it after that because I don't think I've got any more patience if so. If not, we'll try and get through the Aberdeen game as well and leave it on a cliffhanger for the second leg. But as we get into this game, I'm going to start on a positive mentality just for 10 minutes or so and see how it goes. If it goes well, we'll then stick with it. And so far, we haven't conceded a shot. And to be fair, if you remember the Rangers' performance, we were brilliant. It's just that cutting edge. And with our two-star playmakers back, we might be all right. As Ramos cuts one back to Josh Brooking, the right back, to the edge of the box. Brilliant shot. He doesn't score many, but they're always screamers like that. Josh Brooking gives us the lead just 10 minutes in. Apologies if I was a bit loud there for any headphone users. But that one is one I'm very excited about. Thank you to everybody coming along. If you haven't yet, please do chuck a thumbs up on it as we get a crucial away goal early against PSV. Serrano tries to commit a foul, does not win it. Back to Tom Davis, to Sangari in the middle. Mandragora playing centre-half, normally a midfielder by trade. Albrighton gets it through. João Pedro, what a save, Ziga. I am more confident for the fact that he's in goal rather than Siegrist. It makes a big difference to our team. As McCrory heads away at the front post. We're trying to chase it along, but we don't get there. And with 20 minutes gone, I'd have taken this. I really would. But then comes the problem. Serrano's got a bruised shin. I'm not taking him off earlier than half time because that's not an injury that's going to get worse. As Mallon finds McCrory. Can we get a second? McCrory's got a chance to switch it. Just don't lose it there. He finds Stevie Mallon. Out to the right to Brookin. In behind to Serrano. To the byline. Chance to cut back on his left foot. He can cross for three in there. One of them's Mitchell. It's off the line. Brookin recycles it for Mallon. It's brilliant football from Dundee United. Brookin back to McCrory again. Mallon to Serrano. I think he was off, was he? No, we're playing on. Brookin in again. Mitchell chases it. Sillerson smothers. Brilliant goalkeeping. What a half an hour it's been. Brilliant display so far. Absolutely fantastic work. Jacob Grimsby, lucky there were no fans. Imagine fans watching a player headbutt their teammate. Oh. The fans would not have forgiven them. And it would have been a hard situation for the fans. Because they would have been fighting hard as we nearly concede a bizarre goal again for the 9 or 10 players on the pitch. But they would have been so angry as well with the others. Would have been an interesting situation. As Sangari picks it up to Rosario, to Ugra on the right. We don't want to concede in stoppage time here. We'd love a second on the break, but we don't want to go in level. It would change the team talk. It would change the confidence. Poor back pass forces Sillison wide. Mitchell is chasing him all the way here. He's forced a long clearance. It's knocked down. Mockery intercepts to Matt O'Reilly. He's got Serrano with him. He's got Mitchell with him. Finds Serrano. Wonderful, wonderful strike. Nico Serrano is here. And that is the difference between the weekend and now. The Rangers game we dominated. We had no cutting edge. This time we've got Nico Serrano. Brilliant work. He's got a knock. We're going to take him off now because we've got the 2 away goals. And we need to be solid. So Dijon Sterling, the benefit of having a goods player in the squad. He comes on as a winger on support. Gives us a bit more solidity. Gives us stability across the pitch as well. But also, make sure we don't weaken the team too much. As Josimovic gets it wide to Ramos. I mean, we would have started Sterling at the weekend if we knew that Serrano was going to go out of the Olympics. As Mitchell's in again, it's 3-0. Stevie Mallon, take a bow. That through ball was absolutely stunning. And in the end, Mitchell finishes it, his first goal for the club. What was I worried about? This PSV tie has been the easiest game we've had in a while. The ball's into Sterling again. He's hit the post. He could have scored a 4th there from the set piece. I know PSV are missing their best striker, who's on international duty, who will be back for the second leg. I know they're missing one of their key creative players as well. But surely we can't lose this lead. It's been a wonderful display. We're going to get Ali McCann on for Stevie Mallon. Just give him a little rest, if anything. And we'll leave the last sub another 5 or 10 minutes. But so far, so good. We'll think about Mockery, who's not had much training this week. Sladarth, good evening. Thank you for popping on along. Lovely to have you in as well. Jacob, yeah, they did sign a player on a free this year. Aziga, oh, he's made a howler. Ziga's letting a goal. Oh, I talked about him being a safe pair of hands compared to Segrist, and he's done that. Jacob, you'll enjoy that one. Maka, thank you for coming along. Sladarth, thank you for popping in. Lovely to see a new face amongst the regulars. Anyway, I can make my save feel a little bit less samey. I'm in the non-league of Scotland, doing the team I play for, and it just feels like I'm doing is signing 1 or 2 folk, simming and doing matches. So, I mean, I can only advise the things I do in my save. So, in the ones where I control who I sign, like the One Club or the Builder Nation, I'm just watching out to see if they score a second here. Oh dear, it's all going wrong. I said surely we're getting through, and look what's happened now. This is disastrous. Why is it happening to us? We can never just be good. Chris Mockery will come off. He'll be replaced by Mikey Johnston. And now we try and hold on to a lead. The 3 away goals should be enough, but it's now going to be a game back at Tannadice. And before, it was going to be a walkover. So in the clubs where I managed the transfers, so, oh no. Mengi, what are you doing? Straight as Ziga. So in the clubs where we manage the transfers, the Builder Nation of One clubs, I don't use the player search or staff search screen. I find that really spices it up. Makes it more realistic, slows the growth, and makes it more challenging. So that's something that I would always recommend. I find it makes it a far more immersive experience as Sterling nearly scores a screamer. Or perhaps try something like we're doing in the head coach each year, which is no saying transfers, contract staffing, set the director of football, the board members, the technical director, whoever it is to do all of that, and just manage the tactics, the training, and the players on the pitch. That can be a good way as well. As Mitchell's in, that could be crucial. An awful defensive error, nicks the ball right up front. That could change the tie. Scott Mitchell looks a good signing. That 4 million is worthwhile. If we get to the Champions League group stages and get the 12 million for that, his transfers are dropping the ocean. Sladarth, must be a bad omen. Just bad timing. Don't worry, this Dundee United side have collapsed many, many, many times over the 40 episodes, so I'm sure it's not just you. In truth, though, that's ended up being a brilliant result, a brilliant performance. I couldn't ask for much more. Serrano's only out a couple of days. Mitchell, a wonderful first start. And surely, in the second leg on Saturday morning in the next live stream, we will beat them in the second leg and get to the group stages. But thank you so much for everyone coming along. We're 1 thumbs up from double figures and there's loads of you in. So thank you for your incredible support as always. If you haven't yet, please do go over and follow on Twitch as well. We're nearing 50 followers despite having only done 3 streams. So thank you again for so many of you supporting. And of course, we've got daily content on the channel as well. That's what we needed. Moss McCrory's happy. Ross McCrory? Ross McCrory is the name, not Moss McCrory. So, he's going to be a star for us. I mean, he was the first big signing, and he's still proven to be a good one. We're not going to make anyone available in the youth squad. We're going to need them all. Aberdeen wants Stephen Dunn. He's going to stay for now. It will need a bigger offer to tempt him away. Slaydaff, no problem. I'm glad that they're helpful. And, I mean, all I can say is a few of the people following along regularly have tried head coach series and seem to have enjoyed it in the Discord, and they share their experiences. So, I hope it's something that can be useful. I found it... The thing I like with the head coach, and it goes back to something you said in your first message, is you can even see from the 4 head coaches, albeit my presentation's very poor in some of them, if you look at the career paths in each of them, they've all been very different. So, you know, the first one where we got stuck in non-league for years and years and years. The second year we got sacked at our first 2 clubs, in England and then in Northern Ireland. The third one where we had a sort of dodgy first 2 years, then a fairly meteoric rise before getting sacked by a tycoon owner halfway along. But then in FM20's the first time, despite that, we made it to the very elite of the game. And in this year, we ended up going through the ranks in Scotland rather than England. So it just leads to different saves, which I really like. Said I've been watching for ages but couldn't talk because I watch on my Xbox while playing FM. I don't mind. I always used to do that. I used to watch people on the console whilst playing FM. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching. And lovely to have you in the chat today as well. Macca, is Joe Duffy from your banger save a real player or new gen? He's real. Yeah, he came through the ranks at Norwich. It's the same one. So yeah, he's a real player. He's 16 at the start of the game. Same for Max Dean. So pretty much all of that side, actually. Dean, Duffy. Who else is up there? Glatzel. When we had... who else is down there? Luca Canel, obviously, you know. Daniel Williams is real, I think, but he's got a real face, hasn't he? Archie Woods is real. He's a 16-year-old at the start of the game. So pretty much all of them. I think Badebo as well. He might be real. Although that might be the one that I'm wrong on. Sadarf, I support a non-league team called Dunipace, is that? Or Dunipace? I don't know which way to pronounce it. Don't care about the old firm. Thank God there's a new team to challenge them. Up to Dundee United. But then in the head coach when I was Dundee, I didn't know that was going to happen when we picked this series. I put it as one of the vote options. And then by the time we started it, I was already at Dundee and the head coach. So I ended up trying to appease both sets of fans. But still, it's been brilliant. And both clubs have been great. And the fans that I've found from both clubs have been good. But yeah, it's been lovely coming through Scottish football and finding so many Scottish followers and things like that as well. It's such a simple but diverse idea. I hope it works out that way. No problem. Thank you for the kind words and thank you for popping in. Yeah, Macca, that's the benefit you've got here is through this year's head coach and this live stream series, we've managed to build a really good Scottish community. From the end of last year, we got a good Northern Irish one, both combined with the podcast and with the Cliftonville save. And obviously I had quite a few English followers before, so I'm trying to cover the whole UK, and the Bangor City one's picked up a few Welsh ones, although that league's not quite so big. So it's been really good. I like the more niche leagues, and obviously I don't mind starting at the bottom in England, but I don't like starting in the Premier League. And to start in Scotland, to start in Wales, to start in Northern Ireland. And as we've discussed plenty of times in the Discord and whatever, I've got Scottish football on in the background here, Dunfermline v Dundee. I love watching the Northern Irish League, so the more the merrier from the lower leagues in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and from the lower leagues in England as well. The less VAR involved in the football I'm watching, the better. I'm sure most will agree with that now. So, I think what we'll do then is we'll just play the Aberdeen game to finish. Great to see people conversing about Scottish football and their nights out there. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you to everyone who's come along as well. It's lovely to have you all here this evening. Nice to get so many of you in for a big transfer special as well. It is greatly appreciated. And now we've got a decision to make. Because if we have a look at the schedule, we either, and I'm bearing in mind that we'll have then a qualifier. So we're going to have a Champions League game each midweek. And even if we lose to PSV, we'll then have a Europa League one. So I think every weekend game, Aberdeen, Motherwell, we're going to have to play our reserves. And I know it's going to throw away second place in the league. But I think we have to do it. Anyone who's got anything other than a light match load can't play in this Aberdeen game. And that means we're probably going to get beat. But it'll be a good way to finish. And you'll get to see a few of the other signings as well. Oh, Slade Darth, you're a younger one, eh? You're all making us feel old. I mean, I'm waiting for the air next week. But it's a little bit grayer than it looks on camera now. And it's not good looking in your 20s, I can assure you. Let's move along and see what else we can get done. We keep getting Lewis Ferguson pop up. Wouldn't be the worst signing, but it's big wages for his ability. Right, we've managed to nick that scout at last, so the team is being replaced. Ironically, we lost our best scout, the Portuguese one, to Rangers, despite the fact that we obviously finished above them last year. So let's go and see what our team will be today. Rangers beat Celtic 5-3. Oh my word, look at that. Can you guys see that close up there? Rangers were 3-1 down and scored 4 goals in second half stoppage time. 90 plus 1, 90 plus 3, 90 plus 5 and 90 plus 6. Finlay Robertson got the first of them. I don't want to claim that's unrealistic, but that's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Right, in terms of the match load, bar Ziga, nobody can play. They've all got a medium or higher match load. So it will be Ziga and a backup team. That will consist of Dehaney, Kurt, Finlay. All of those were first choice at some point last year, so that's a good sign. Left back will be Rhys Devine for his debut. In central midfield, we'll go for McCann and Canel. He'll get a debut as well, Luca Canel. Holsgrove in the number 10. Wingers will be Mikey Johnston and Dijon Sterling. And then up front, we'll be going for Lawrence Shanklin. So actually, over half of that was the first team last year. Shows how far we've come. Those with a medium match load can still be on the bench. We'll chuck Fotheringham in there. We'll chuck Chris Mockery in there. Mallon can be a sub-centre mid. Defensively, we've not really got as many options. So Brookin, young Stephen Dunn. And then we'll throw Ray Milligan on there as well. So we've got the youngsters. Callum Donaldson's come back and looks quite good as well. So we might have to bear him in mind. He might actually be better than Milligan. The one that's a letdown really is Stephen Dunn. So do you know what? Let's just take him off the bench. Stephen Dunn off. We only need one defender, don't we? We've got Sterling who can drop back. So we'll put Stephen Dunn out for loan because he keeps getting transfer offers. But I just want him to get football somewhere. So we'll loan him out. We'll get into the first game. Or the final game, sorry, of the evening. As we head to Aberdeen. Let's go and catch up with the chat as we change the whole outfield team. Sadaf, we're in the conference, a 7th tier, and my moment was when we beat Bonnyrigg Rose, 5th tier in the season after they won the league in the Challenge Cup. Centre half scored a volley from about the halfway line. Yeah, Macca, Judgment Day in the snooker. I was watching a little bit earlier on while I was editing. Graham Dott was 7-1 down, wasn't he? Yeah, Donaldson was heavily behind, but Graham Dott was sort of the surprise struggler there. I can't remember who it was. It was Mafflin v... Oh, Kurt Mafflin was playing. It was the two that played in like the quarterfinals or the last 16 the year before. In the pandemic year. I can't remember who the other one was. But they facing off against each other. Robert Milkins, wasn't it? But yeah, there's a fair few names going out. But I think obviously Graham Dott is going to be the shock of that. Obviously, Stephen Henry made his comeback. He went out early after beating Jimmy White and knocking him out. So there's a few big names traditionally out. But it's interesting to see as well, actually. A lot of the British players are beating the Chinese players this year more than normal as well. I wonder if that's the no crowd pressure. Or I wonder if that's the Chinese players. Obviously, it's a difficult situation to come into the country and then be basically locked in a hotel room most of the time. So that must be difficult. Although a lot of them will have been here 3-4 months, of course. But then that gives the homesickness problem as well. But yeah, great to see the World Championship starting at the weekend. From Saturday's stream, we will be talking about that. As Sterling heads one wide of the post against Aberdeen. It's been a decent 25 minutes. I'll change Sterling back to his more natural habitat of a normal winger. And without meaning to be crude, this will be the last game of the evening. It's about our normal stream time. I want the second leg of the PSV one to be the start of Saturday's stream. That's part of the reason. The second reason is I've ordered a takeaway to treat myself and will be coming around 6:45. So he was 7-1 down earlier, Macca, so he's starting to make a comeback based on that. 3-2 in the second leg. Probably a bit late for the comeback though. Mafflin, I think he was 7-2 up, so 9-4, that makes sense. And actually, against Aberdeen here, we've still been the better side. We've still played well. And if you remember last year, after about 10 games, we were 6th or 7th. So we've really fought back well. And if we can get a decent start this year, I'll be happy enough. And if we get into the Champions League group stages, all will be forgiven anyway. We've got 25 minutes to go, so let's bring on some of the big hitters. We will replace a nervous Jordan Holsgrove with Kai Fotheringham, who's going to get a go. And where else can we go here? Luca Canel's not had the best debut. I don't have any centre midfielders on the bench who aren't first teamers. So I'll leave it 10 more. Do you know what? We're not doing any harm here. And then if we get to 15 to go, it's not so bad to throw on 2 of the big hitters. That Challenge Cup game, real life, to be honest. See, Sladeoff, that's the thing. There's a bit of a weird thing here. Like, I love cricket, obviously, and none of the Scottish boys watching over here like cricket at all. Most of them haven't heard of it and just presume it to be rounders. Whereas there's a few of us, and a lot of the Scottish people are more fond of snooker, and a lot of the English fans aren't. So, between the fan base, we've got most of the sports covered. As Luca Canel picks it up, can we just sneak that 1-0? We switch it left to Devine on debut. Oh! Well, take that from a backup left back. Signed to make up the numbers on a relatively cheap and non-expensive deal, a free agent. But he's got that United touch, hasn't he? What a goal that is. 15 minutes to go. We probably don't need the big hitters now. So we'll bring on Callum Donaldson. He'll be a left winger on support. And then, what other youngsters have we got? It's only really Milligan, isn't it? So we'll bring him on up front in place of Shankland. And just give him 15 minutes to shine. Sterling's given as good as he's got, but he's not going to start the next game. It'll be Serrano back in. He's back to fitness. But as it stands, with a couple of minutes plus stoppage time to go, with a heavily rotated side, we've won 4-2 away at PSV with the first team. We've come here with the reserves and won 1-0. And that is about the perfect week and the perfect way to end. I know because of no Serrano and Mockery, we lost the game we should have won against Rangers. And Mackie, yeah, we signed Canel. It was the first signing of the summer because we couldn't get Finlay Robertson back. And Canel was transfer listed for about $1 million. He'd picked up by the scouts. And he wasn't that far behind quality-wise. It also allowed us to sell Glenn Ray. So, wage-wise, it didn't do a lot of harm. But there we go. I would argue, despite the disappointment of the Rangers game, where we lost without conceding a shot on target, that's been a pretty good episode, particularly the PSV game. I just want to check quickly Celtic's transfer window before we go. They have... Oh, well, they've done nothing. They've sold a couple of big names. Scott Mitchell to us. Saravia was a backup right back. James Scott was a winger for them who was squaddish. But all they've done is sign an experienced now Nathan Collins and a couple of youngsters. Although Collins looks good for 115 grand. But not really inspiring windows from the old firm club. So I'll be interested to see how they get on. But for us, I think that's just about where we're going to leave it. We will be back on Saturday morning to finish what should be a massive August. It will be Motherwell in the League Cup, the second leg of PSV. We then will have both rounds of the playoff, either the Champions League or Europa League. Hopefully with the lead we've got against PSV, it will be a Champions League one. And then we should have the air game as well. It will be a thrilling end to August, and it could be that the final action of the next episode is a Champions League group stage draw. Saturday morning is going to be thrilling. I really hope you're able to join me for it. A massive thank you to everyone who's come along and made this such an active chat, so successful. And thank you to the couple of new faces as well in the chat. It's been brilliant to have you all along. Thank you for supporting both here and on Twitch too. Make sure you checked out today's Bangor City episode if you haven't already. It is an exciting one as we've got European football galore there as well. But thank you so much for joining. Josh Benson at Falkirk there, is he, Macca? Sorry, you've caught me in my traps there. I was about to finish, but we've got to check that. It's gone from Walsall to Falkirk. So Falkirk building a decent little team there. A bit like Ayr when they came up a few years before. The Bangor Boys are infiltrating Scotland, absolutely. And hopefully we'll have some new Bangor Boys in that series soon as well. So thank you so much for your incredible support. Thank you for everyone coming along. If you missed any of the stream earlier, there'll be a full replay on the channel straight after. But I hope to see you Saturday morning and in the comments for the videos in between. Thank you for watching as always. I'll see you next time.